Welcome back. Today we are going to solve some numerical based on mathematical modeling of a second order mechanical system and time domain analysis for step response. For that, we'll consider the translational system and rotational systems. Let us start with the first numerical. But before starting a first numerical, let us try to understand the different forms of a mechanical system or mathematical model representation for the same system. Let us take an example of a translational system. Now we had a lot of discussion on this kind of a systems and also tried to derive a transfer function. The system consists of spring mass damper and subjected to the force function which causes the displacement of a mass, let us assume that, in the same direction of applied force. Now in this case, the mass is moving in a horizontal platform and it has been assumed that between wheel and the platform there is no friction, so the surface is frictionless and the motion is frictionless. So only resistance being offered to the system is because of this damper. Now the same system, by changing the orientation, we can have some mass, spring and damper. Now we have changed the direction of a force and we are assuming that the system responds in the same direction. Third, we are inverting the orientation. So mass is being supported by the spring and damper both are parallel. So carefully, if you are observing, we are using some notations. Kind request to all of you, when we are solving any numerical, we are using our own notations. So we have to write this notation. So here another way to represent the same system. Now what is the difference? Here spring and damper is in a parallel. When do we say that spring and damper are parallel? If the displacement or the deformation in the spring or the damper is same, then we can say that the spring and damper are in a parallel. So here also you can observe that when the external force is applied and the mass is moving in the particular direction, you can see that the spring is deformed by the same amount that of damper. The only thing is what? The spring get compressed in this case if it is moving in upward direction, and the damper will get elongate by same amount. And hence we can say that this system is also in a parallel case. One more way to represent the same system in a horizontal. We have changed the orientation of this system in a horizontal direction. The mass is moving in a horizontal platform. Again, it is being assumed that there is no friction, so frictionless movement is there, and whatever the resistance is being offered is because of damper. Okay, so let us assume that the mass is moved by displacement x. So it has been assumed that the displacement in the damper and the displacement in the spring is same. So we can say that this system is the same that what we discussed in earlier 4 cases. Now for all these 4 cases, even though there is construction wise, their orientation wise, they seems to be different, but ideally when you are solving these systems for governing equation of the system or equation of a motion, then you will find the same governing equation or the equation of a motion for all these 5 systems. Now the transfer function, you can observe here, all these 5 systems has the same transfer function, that is xs upon fs is equal to 1 upon ms square plus cs plus k. Now let us try to apply this knowledge to solve the numerical. Let us start with the first numerical for translational system. Once you understood the translational system, there should not be any difficulty to apply the knowledge to any of the system, whether it is a rotational or in other forms, whether it is 2 degree freedom system, single degree freedom system. Just try to understand the way we are solving. So for that we have taken a simple numerical. So let's start with the first numerical. A first numerical on a translational system. A second order mechanical system as shown in a figure carries mass m 1 kg, damping coefficient c 5 Newton second per meter, spring stiffness K 20 Newton per meter. For this given mechanical system, we have to determine first mathematical model of a second order differential equation. So we have to derive the governing equation or the equation of a motion or a dynamic equation of the system. Second is the transfer function. Now to find out the transfer function, it is very important to know about what is the input given to the system and what is the response of the system. Now for this system which carries spring, mass, damper, and spring and damper are in a parallel because the deformation is same. This system is subjected to the force function Ft. Because of this force F, the system is responding, and that response is measured in terms of a y of t. We can easily understand here Ft is the input and Yt is the response of the system. But what we are assuming here, Ft is now is a step function, step input function, and we are just trying to understand for a given step input function how the system responses. Okay. So we are going to determine the transfer function ys upon fs. Then we have to identify the characteristic equation, plots and poles and zeros in S-plane, and we have to comment on stability. Already we discussed in a part A, we are going to determine for a second order mechanical system the first mathematical model, that is the differential equation of a motion. Then second transfer function, Third is we are going to identify the characteristic equation from this transfer function, and also we are going to plot the poles and zeros on in S-plane. And in addition, we are going to verify all these terms that we are calculating manually by using MATLAB. And then lastly, we are going to comment on the stability. This is what we are expecting to be obtained in the part A. In a part B, we are going to determine in addition, first is the natural frequency the radian per second, second is the damping factor and the damped natural frequency. Let us start solving this numerical. Okay, in this numerical, we have a translational system. So this system consists of mass, spring and damper. Here we are using notations. It is very important to explain the meaning of these notations because this is our own defined notation. The third person may not understand this notation. So first of all, we have to define the meaning of this notation that we are using in our system. We have to use the same notation which is given in the example. Okay, so we are not changing any notations, but you should understand the meaning of this notation. Even though instead of a K, if you are using some different notations, even though instead of C, if you are using different notation, but the overall meaning of this notation should be same. Okay, now for us, we are using K. K is the spring constant or spring stiffness. C is damping coefficient. Now damping coefficient, here we are using Newton second per meter for a translational system. M is the mass of body in kg. Ft is the input force, and here we are considering Ft is the step function. Yt is the response of the system for given step function. Now first of all, we are going to derive the equation of motion. That is what we are saying it as a mathematical model or mathematical relation. Let us develop the mathematical relation for given mechanical system. So for that, we will prepare a free body diagram, since we are going to use a free body diagram method and we are going to apply Newton's second law. So according to Newton's second law, the summation of all accelerating forces must be equal to summation of all external force which is exerted on the system. So we need to prepare a free body diagram and let us find out a different forces which are exerted on a system or mass M. So let us assume that the force function which is acting on this mass, it is in upward direction. So this is Ft, and because of this force function, we are assuming that the displacement of this mass is taken in upward direction. The response is in upward direction momentarily. With this assumption, we are just trying to understand the different forces which are exerted on this apart from Ft. Now since the mass is moving in upward direction with a Yt, so we can say that the accelerating force is acting on the system. That accelerating force must be equal to my double dot, mass into acceleration. Then the role of springs and the damping force is to resist the motion. So motion of this mass is taken in upward direction, so we can say that the spring force is acting in a downward direction in order to resist the motion. So it is K into Y, net deformation in the spring. And also we are having damping force. Damping force is nothing but damping coefficient into the velocity, linear velocity. So that is C into Y dot. So I don't think any other force is acting on the system. So by knowing the different forces or all forces which are acting on the system, let us apply the Newton's second law. So according to Newton's second law, summation of all accelerating forces must be equal to summation of all other external forces. So here we are just collecting the accelerating forces. In this case, only one accelerating force is acting, that is my double dot. So this is my double dot is equal to, now as per the sign convention that we are following, the forces which are acting in the direction of accelerating forces are considered as a positive, otherwise negative. So my double dot is equal to Ft. It is positive because it is acting in the same direction of my double dot minus C into Y dot minus K into Y. If we rearrange this equation, what we are having, the governing equation of motion or equation of motion. So that is my double dot plus C Y dot plus K Y is equal to Ft. So this is equation of motion, and this gives us answer 1. Now to get the transfer function for given system, we will apply Laplace transform on equation number 1. So let us say that this is the equation number 1. So we will get m s square y of s plus cs into y of s plus k into y of s is equal to f of s. We are applying the Laplace transform on the both side of equality. So we'll get this equation. If you take y of s common out of this, So we'll get y of s in bracket ms square plus cs plus k is equal to f of s. Now we know that the transfer function is equal to the ratio of Laplace transform of output, that is the response, to the Laplace transform of input, and if we are rearranging, what we are having, 1 upon ms square plus cs plus k. So this is the transfer function of given mechanical system. But for this numerical, we got a value of mass. So mass m is equal to 1 kg. Damping coefficient C is equal to, I think it is 5 Newton second per meter. Next, spring constant K is equal to 20 Newton per meter. So let us substitute all these values in equation 2 and rewriting this equation. After substituting all these values, we'll get the transfer function. So transfer function is equal to y of s f of s is equal to 1 upon s square plus phi of s plus 20. So this is the transfer function of a given mechanical system. So this gives answer 2. Now once we are having transfer function, then we are going to write a characteristic equation. So third is characteristic equation. So from given transfer function, we can write characteristic equation. Characteristic equation is nothing but the denominator polynomial, and that we are equating to the 0. So characteristic equation is s square plus 5s plus 20 is equal to 0. So this is the characteristic equation, and that gives us answer 3. Now let us find the roots of characteristic equation, and these roots are s12 is equal to minus 2.5 plus or minus 3.71 into j. So that means these are the poles of the system. So this is answer 3. So we can say that these are nothing but poles of system. So let us plot these poles in S-plane and let us verify given system is stable or unstable. From here itself we came to know that since the real part of these roots are a negative and it has imaginary number, so it is a complex conjugate number with a negative real part. That means what? It has to lie on left and half plane. Given system is stable system. So let us plot these two roots on S-plane. We got a two poles, S1, 2 is equal to minus 2.5 plus or minus 3.71 into j. So what is the S-plane basically? S-plane has a two axes which are mutually perpendicular. One horizontal is the real axis and vertical axis is the imaginary axis. Now let us plot these poles on S-plane. For that we will just divide approximately, because we have to only ensure that whether system is stable or not. So we are not going to use any scale over here to plot the or to locate the poles on S-plane. So this is S-plane. So let us divide this into, it's a minus 2.5, so it's a 1, it's 2, it's 3, that means what, somewhere here it is, okay, and on j omega it is 3.71. So let us divide into equal part, 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 3.71. So approximately it is somewhere here. If you are taking the intersecting point of real and imaginary numbers, and by taking on a symmetry side, so we'll get the location of a pole. This is 1, this is 2. So this one will be S1 is equal to minus 2.5 plus 3.71 j, and it is S2 is equal to minus 2.5 minus 3.71 j. So one can clearly observe these two roots lies on left hand half plane, so the system is stable. Okay. Now since the roots are complex conjugate, and we know that for a roots having a complex conjugates, the response of the system is a transient. So if we plot a response for step input, so let us consider this is a response, is a y of t, and here we are having time t, okay, and suppose let us say that this is unit step function at 1. So if we plot this response, then we will have a transient response. Okay, so this is underdamped system or underdamped response or transient response. Now the conclusion, since the poles lies on left hand half plane, the system is stable and the response of the system is underdamped or a transient response. Now this is answer 4. Now let us solve for additional part, that is the B part. In the B part, first of all we have to determine a natural frequency. So part B we are going to solve here. Part B we have to solve natural frequency, that is omega n. So how to determine natural frequency? To get the natural frequency, the formula is known to us, omega n is equal to under root k by m. So we'll get this in radian per second. So we know that the value of k is equal to 20 and mass is equal to 1. If you calculate this, you will get 4.47 radian per second. Second, we have to determine damping factor. So damping factor zeta can be determined. Zeta is equal to, by definition it is C upon Cc. C is nothing but damping coefficient over critical damping coefficient. So we can write critical damping coefficient 2m omega n. So we know that C is 5, 2 into m is 1 into natural frequency 4.47. So if you calculate this, you will get a damping factor is equal to 0.559. So this is zeta value. Since it is unitless quantity, so you get zeta is equal to 0.559. Since it is less than 1, so system response is underdamped. And now third is damped natural frequency, that is omega d. Omega d is equal to omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So we know that omega n is equal to 4.47 into under root 1 minus 0.559 square. Then if you calculate, we will get omega d is equal to 3.71 radian per second. This is damped natural frequency. Now same damped natural frequency can be obtained from a root. If you rewrite the roots of a system, S12 is equal to minus 2.5 plus or minus 3.71 j. Now the standard form of a roots that we already discussed in the last session, S12 is equal to minus zeta omega n plus or minus omega dj. So if you are trying to compare with the standard form of a roots, then easily we can get some correlation, just like in omega d is equal to 3.1 radian per second. And once we are having any one quantity, we can easily determine the other quantities too. So this is one method to determine the damped natural frequency by comparing the roots itself. If it is a complex conjugate, then we can easily compare these two. And one can compare here minus zeta omega n is equal to minus 2.5 or zeta omega n is equal to 2.5, and from here you can get a desired parameters. Okay. Now the next part, we are going to discuss a second method, method 2, to get the values of natural frequency, damping factor and damped natural frequency. Now for time domain analysis, we are going to use this method as well, because it's the most simplest way to determine without having much calculations. Okay, so let's try to understand the second method. For that, we have to write a transfer function. Transfer function of a system TF is equal to y of s over f of s is equal to 1 upon s square plus 5s plus 20. So this is what the transfer function of a system we obtained. This transfer function is for second order mechanical system, but we also derived a generalized form of transfer function for second order mechanical system. So that transfer function is equal to k dash into omega n square over s square plus 2 zeta omega n into s plus omega n square. So we already derived this equation. So what we are doing, we are comparing a transfer function with a standard b transfer function. So comparing a with b, so what we are having, 2 zeta omega n is equal to 5, and here you can see that omega n square is there and here omega n square is there, but here we have to have a little bit modification. I will just do this modification here itself so that you can compare this. So what I'll do here, I'll just multiply and divide by 20. So multiplying and divide by 20, then the constant k dash will be equal to 1 upon 20, right? And omega n square will be equal to now 20. So by comparing equation A and B, you will get these parameters. So right now k dash, we are not much concerned here because we had to determine a damped natural frequency and damping factor. So for that we are going to use this relation. So after comparison we got 2 zeta omega n is equal to 5 and omega n square is equal to 20. So if I take omega n square is equal to 20 and if I solve this, so I'll get omega n is equal to 4.47 radian per second, the same value that we already obtained from another method. Okay, this will be answer. And second answer is to get damping factor. So damping factor zeta, so zeta is equal to, okay, from this relation 2 zeta omega n is equal to 5. So if I rewrite this equation for zeta is equal to 5 upon 2 into omega n. So we know that 5 upon 2 into omega n is 4.47. So if you solve this, so you'll get zeta value equal to 0.559. This is unitless quantity, so you'll get this 0.55. Here also you can understand it's a less than 1, so it is under damped system. Now the last is damped natural frequency. So damped natural frequency is omega d. So omega d relation is equal to omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So we got an omega n, it is 4.47 into 1 minus zeta is 0.559 square. So if you solve this, you will get omega d is equal to 3.71 radian per second. Now next numerical we'll discuss for a rotational system. Let us verify our calculated values by using MATLAB. In this first numerical, we got a transfer function. Let us write a first transfer function in MATLAB. Now to write a transfer function in the MATLAB, we are going to write a comment defining transfer function for second order mechanical system. Now let us say that the system we are going to define by sys, a variable. Now to define a transfer function of a system, we need to define a numerator as well as a denominator. So we'll write a numerator value. We know that the numerator is 1. So we'll write a vector 1 here. So we'll get numerator value as 1. And to write a denominator, we are using variable denominator dn. And we know that the coefficient of a characteristic equation at a denominator is, we are going to write this as a vector. So coefficients are, for s square it is 1, for s it is 5, and for constant it is 20. So we will write this as a denominator coefficients. So let us write a transfer function of a system. So sys is the variable which is used to define system. So let us say that the function that we are going to use in the MATLAB to define a transfer function. So TF gives us a transfer function. Write a transfer function between numerator and denominator. So we will get transfer function 1 upon s square plus 5s plus 20. So this is continuous time transfer function. Here we will just find zeros of this transfer function. So to find zeros, we get zeros of a system. It shows an empty column vector, so it does not have any zeros. So we'll find poles of the system. It got on 2 poles, and these are the complex variables or complex conjugate numbers. So first pole is minus 2.5 plus 3.71 I, and second is minus 2.5 minus 3.71 I. So in our case, we have replaced I by j as an imaginary numbers, and as we know that 3.71 is also damped natural frequency of a system. Okay, so that has been verified. Now next, we are going to verify the location of poles in S-plane. So for that, PJ map of system. So the command which is used in this MATLAB is PJ map poles and zero map for the given system. It will take a little bit time to show the plot. Okay, this is pole zero map. So right now you are not able to trace the poles. So what we are doing, we are just changing the range so that we will get this pole. So I'll change limits. So we'll write here y-axis limit as minus 6 to plus 6, and horizontal limits we will write it as minus 5 to plus 5. Now let's see that. Okay, now this is imaginary axis, this is real axis. Now you can find here these are the poles, and if you could read this, the pole, the first pole, it is minus 2.5 plus 3.71 I. Here also you can find the damping ratio or damping factor. This is 0.559. Okay, this is exactly what we have calculated in this numerical. And overshoot we have not yet calculated, but if you calculate by using the formula, you will get the 12% or approximately 12%. Also we have calculated frequency. It is natural frequency of 4.47 radian per second. Okay, all these values are verified. And for second pole, you will get second pole is a minus 2.5 minus 3.71 j, and the same remaining values are there. So this is poles and zero map in a MATLAB. Then we'll try to understand. Now we'll try to understand the response of a given system for step input function. So to find the response for step input, so we'll write step system. Then we click here. Yes, this is a step response, and here you'll find it shows little bit oscillation and some overshoot. That means that this is underdamped system, or the response is underdamped response. Okay, so we have verified by using MATLAB. Now let us take another example for a rotational or a torsional system. Now once you understood how to solve a translational system, there should not be any difficulty to apply the knowledge to get the transfer function of a rotational or a torsional system. We are going to discuss this numerical to obtain the transfer function only, and the rest part already we discussed in the last numerical. It is expected you have to follow the same knowledge for this numerical if it is asked to get the parameter what we discussed in the last numerical in the translational system. So we'll discuss this particular numerical to get the transfer function. Okay. Now to get this transfer function, we need to derive the equation of motion for this torsional system or a rotational system. Now for a given mechanical system, determine the mathematical model. So they are asking us to determine the second order differential equation of a motion. We are going to derive it. Then we are going to obtain the transfer function. Now similar to last numerical, we need to know, so what is the input given to the system and what is the response of the system. Third is the identify the characteristic equation, and also plot the poles and zeros in S-plane. Assume some values for a torque, then J, B and K, then we can easily find the location of a poles in a S-plane. But right now we are not going to locate poles and zeros in a S-plane since we don't have this value right now. So we'll restrict our discussion up to a derivation of a transfer function. The rest part is very well known to you from the previous numerical. Okay, so I request all of you just follow the steps that we learned in the last numerical. Okay, so let us discuss this numerical to get the transfer function. For this numerical, the important part is to obtain the transfer function of a given mechanical system. And once we are having a transfer function, we can apply the same knowledge what we learn. Okay, so most typical part is to get the transfer function of a mechanical system. Now in this system, the circular disc having a mass m is attached to the elastic member or elastic shaft. This elastic shaft, one end is fixed to the rigid wall and other end is connected to the disc. At this end, the motion is not free. Elastic member or elastic shaft is resisting that motion since the disc and elastic shafts are rigidly connected together. So there is no relative motion between disc and shaft. Now on this system, the torque T is applied. As being observed, the angular displacement is also taken place in the same direction of applied torque. So it is an assumption. Since this disc carries a mass and which is scattered in the radial direction, so all these masses are taking a moment about an axis, so we are having mass moment of inertia. Okay. Then K is the spring constant of a elastic shaft and B is the damping coefficient. Now here you can see that these guide holes are providing some resistance to the moment, and that resistance will be considered as damping coefficient B. The notations are different, so we are using this damping coefficient for a torsional system since we are not ignoring any frictional or any resistance offered by this system. It may be viscous, it may be frictional, but there must be a damping coefficient being offered by this guide hole to the shaft or to the system. Now let us consider the same torsional system here. A elastic shaft, one end is connected rigidly to the wall. Other end of this elastic shaft is rigidly connected to the circular disc having mass m. J is the mass moment of inertia of a disc. K is the stiffness or spring constant of elastic shaft. Now B is the damping coefficient at the support to the shaft. Now let us assume that on this system torque is applied in this direction. So we are assuming that the angular displacement theta is also taken in the direction of applied torque. So to know the different forces acting on the system, we are going to draw the inertial body circular disc. If T is the torque applied on the system, and because of this torque force, there is a small angular displacement taken place theta in the same direction of applied torque. Now the role of spring is to resist the motion, so we are applying a spring force, that is K into angular displacement theta. Since spring constant is equal to force upon displacement or force required to have an unit deformation, so in the torsional system the spring is subjected to the deformation, that is theta. In a translational system, the body is moving or the spring is moving in a translational direction, so we will consider K into X, but in this case spring is subjected to the torque force T, so it is subjected to the angular displacement theta. So torsional spring force is K into theta, and the damping force which is exerted is also resisting the motion, so we can say that damping force is equal to C into theta dot. And apart from this, the inertial torque is acting, that inertial torque is equal to J into theta double dot, which is acting in the same direction of motion since it is an accelerating torque. Now in our case, K is the spring constant. Now we know that the spring constant, as per the definition, it is force upon unit deformation. So here force is torque and deformation is theta. Then the unit of spring constant for a torsional spring or the shaft as a torsional spring, it is Newton meter. Since torque is a Newton meter and theta is measured in the radian, so Newton meter per radian is the unit of spring constant. B is the damping coefficient. Now as per the definition of damping coefficient is equal to force upon unit velocity. So here force is torque over unit velocity is angular velocity theta dot. Then we get unit is equal to Newton meter per radian per second, or we can write equal to Newton meter second per radian. It's a unit of damping coefficient. Torque has a unit, torque force has a unit, Newton meter, and J is the mass moment of inertia, it is kg meter square. By having all this constructional detail, now let us derive the equation of motion. So equation of motion, or it is also called as a mathematical model. We are going to prepare a free body diagram and we are going to apply Newton's second law. So we have already prepared the free body diagram. I'll redraw this free body diagram for inertial body having mass m. So that is a circular disc. On this circular disc, torque is applied. This is the input force. Because of this torque, the disc rotates by a small angle theta in this direction. So this is the angular displacement. This is the response of a system in the direction of applied torque. And since it is moving in this direction, so accelerating torque is also acting. So that accelerating torque is equal to J into theta double dot. Then the role of spring and the damper is to resist the motion. So spring force is acting in opposite direction of angular displacement, that is K into theta, and damping force B into theta dot. So these are the forces which are acting on this circular disc about an axis of a shaft. Now let us apply Newton's second law. So summation of all accelerating torque must be equal to summation of all external torque. Now we are going to collect all these torques. So same notation again, those torques which are acting in the same direction of accelerating torque are considered as a positive, otherwise negative. So accelerating torque is equal to J theta double dot is equal to, this torque is a function of time which is acting in the same direction, we will consider the positive, minus B into theta dot minus K into theta. These are the forces which are exerting on the system. Theta is not a force, but this is a response of a system for given torque force. Okay, so theta is not a force here. Now if we rewrite this equation, we will get J theta double dot plus B theta dot plus K theta is equal to torque, which is the function of time. So this equation is called as equation of motion or a governing equation of a system. So this is answer 1. Now next, transfer function. We are going to determine transfer function. So transfer function of a system. To get the transfer function of a system, we need to know a input and the output given to the system. So input given to the system is a torque. T is the input torque, and the response of a system is in terms of a angular displacement theta in the same direction of applied torque. So we'll get the transfer function as a ratio of theta of S to the torque of S. This is equation number 1. Let us apply Laplace transform to equation number 1. We will get J into S square theta of S plus B into S theta of S plus K into theta of S is equal to torque of S. Now if we take theta S common, what we are having, theta S in a bracket J square plus B into S plus K is equal to T of S. We know that the transfer function is the ratio of output to the input. So here output is theta of S, response of the system, to the input T of S. Input is applied torque to the system is equal to 1 upon Js square plus Bs plus K. So this is a transfer function of given second order mechanical system. If you know the values of J, B and K, we can plot poles and zeros in S plane and we can verify whether the given system is stable or not, where J is mr square by 2 for a circular disc about its axis. Its unit is kg meter square.